Hey, I'm Billy the Fuji Guys, and we're taking a first look at Fujifilm's latest mirrorless camera, the X-T20. Now, this is the little brother to the X-T2. However, in no way is it really little, other than its size. It shares the same sensor and processor combination as the X-T2 using a 24 megapixel APS-C X-Trans CMOS 3 sensor, as well as the latest X Processor Pro. So that's going to give some outstanding image quality, especially shooting at high ISO, low noise, higher resolution so you can make larger prints, but also the ability to crop the image down and still have and maintain resolution. And the X Processor Pro allows for faster autofocus speed because it can read faster from the sensor itself. It also processes things like film simulation and improve low light when shooting in, of course, high ISO and low light situations. In addition to that, it uses a focal plane shutter like any of the Fujifilm X series cameras. For this one here, though, the focal plane shutter is limited to about 1/4000th of a second. So it's not exactly the same as the X-T2, but for a situation like this where you're out with family and friends and you want to take pictures, I think the 1/4000th of a shutter speed is more than what you need to freeze the action, especially when you're shooting out in a day like today where it's very, very bright. In addition to that as well, you can also use the electronic shutter that's built onto it to shoot at 1/32,000th of a second. So if you want to shoot wide open on a fast prime lens like the one I'm using today, which is the 35 f2.0 lens, it makes up for a perfect camera to take with you. And it's also much more compact, much more smaller than its bigger brother, the X-T2. The Fujifilm X-T20 comes in two different color options. You have the all-black version as well as the two-tone silver and black. It comes with a body-only option or as a kit with the XC16 to 50 millimeter lens, which is also OIS. It's a great starter lens that gives you good zoom from 16 mil to, of course, 50 millimeters. However, today I'm showing it off with the 35 f2 lens. It's one of my favorite prime lenses. Great for every round shooting, and it's equivalent to about 50 millimeters, which I can use to take portraits, but also some landscapes in addition to macro shots as well. So it is quite a versatile lens that really gives me an all-around performance. It also looks amazing on this camera, especially the silver version paired to the two-tone silver. Now, the camera also shares some of the design controls as X series DNA, using things like shutter speeds on the top dial, aperture controls on the lens. You got your mode drive dial on the left here. You got your exposure compensation dials, things like that. They've all upgraded. You got two command dials front and rear. And that allows you, of course, to adjust things like aperture on lenses like the XC16-50, but also to change different parameters. There also are buttons now as well. So Fuji has enabled function buttons all around. In addition to that, they changed one of the buttons on the top, which used to be the movie mode, and now it's an additional function button, and they've moved the movie mode now to the drive dial if you want to shoot 4K video, which this camera also offers. Just like the X-T10, the X-T20 uses the same battery, the NPW126 rechargeable. It does offer the new S battery, which is, of course, a better shield towards heat. And because this camera does offer 4K video, it's ideal that this type of battery is used, and it's recommended if you do buy additional batteries that you buy the S version of the NPW126. It also offers one SD card slot. It uses the Ultra High Speed 1 format. So unlike the X-T2, which offers a dual slot as well as Ultra High Speed 2 compatibility, this camera is just limited just to that specific parameter. The Fujifilm X-T20 has an outstanding design. It uses the same dimension as the original X-T10, but again, bumping up all its specifications like the sensor, processor. It also has the nice built-in flash that's kind of hidden here with a low switch on the left here, and you pop it open, as you can see. It's good enough for those situations where you want to fill in the shadows. In addition to that as well, it does offer an external hot shoe so that you can attach any of Fuji's EFX flash units onto this camera to, of course, increase the brightness in low light situations. Similar to the Fujifilm X-T2, the X-T20 offers a high-speed shooting mode at up to 8 frames a second. That's fast enough to track, obviously, your kids if you're tobogganing or trying to capture action. You can also shoot at slower frame rates if you want. At 5 frames per second, the camera can track the subject using its continuous autofocus, as well as giving you a pure live view in the EVF itself, so that you have very reduced blackout time, similar to that of some higher end DSLRs. In the menu itself, you can adjust the APS-C custom settings to choose from 5 different presets, which helps you track the moving subjects a lot easier. So if you want your subject to be very predictable in movements, you can select one of the options there, the standard. You can ignore objects with set 2. There's acceleration, deceleration, and other options in the menu to select that. I generally like using the set 2, which is to ignore obstacle, which allows me to track a subject whether they go behind a tree or not, and makes the camera reduce the amount of hunting it generally does in past Fujifilm cameras. So that's a great little feature that's now embedded into the X-T20. On the dial itself, there's also other unique shooting modes. You got bracketing modes that you can shoot things like film simulation bracketing, exposure bracketing. You also have advanced modes 1 and 2. So you can set up advanced filters on the camera to create unique effects right out of the camera, so you don't have to edit the images, whether you're trying to do a miniature effect or even a toy camera that has some vignetting around it. Whether you're shooting maybe these sleds that we're going to be doing later, you can isolate the colors as well. So you can choose red, and everything in that image that's red is going to stay in color, except for everything else is going to be in monochrome black and white. There's also a multi-exposure mode, as well as a panoramic mode that allows you to pan, and you can increase the size from medium to large within the menu itself. And again, those are really easily accessed through the dials. Very similar again to the X-T10, but it expands that by adding, of course, a separate movie dial on the drive dial itself. So the Fujifilm X-T20 offers Wi-Fi capabilities. You can actually connect this to the Fujifilm camera remote app, and it allows you to control the camera, see a live view from the camera. Using your smart device, it supports both iOS and Android. You can really take a picture. You can change the focus points, change some of the parameters in the camera, whether it's shutter speeds, aperture, ISO, and you see a visual on the app itself. And then afterwards, you can push the playback button and then transfer that over to your smartphone, from which then you can actually share it on social media sites. So it's really a great feature. But there's also another feature I like, and that's is that it can connect directly to a shared printer. So if you have one of those SP1s, SP2 shared printers, you can actually connect that to this camera and print directly. So whether you're traveling and you want to give this to maybe a stranger that can help you with something, or you took a picture, it really is a nice feature to be able to do that. So the X-T20 now offers USB charging. You can plug it to a wall plug, just like your phone charger, via the USB that's included. Or you can pick up a battery pack like this and plug it directly into the camera, and that will also allow the camera to charge. As you can see, the light from the back of the camera turns on to show that it's actually charging. Wow, what a difference. The blizzard just passed, the sun's come out, and all the color now is coming out in the scene, so it's going to make my shots a lot better, but also it's making it a little bit more difficult for me to take the pictures using the LCD screen. The X-T20 does offer electronic viewfinder. It gives you 100% frame coverage, so when you look through it, you can see the complete scene. Whatever you capture and whatever you see gets captured from the camera. In fact, the electronic viewfinder gives you a live view from the sensor itself. So again, any settings that you change on the camera, whether it's aperture, whether it's shutter speeds, whether it's actually the different white balance settings or film simulation modes, if you switch that, it's automatically shown on the EVF, and even before you actually take the picture, you know exactly how that picture is going to turn out to be. The EVF, again, offers a 2.36 million dot organic LED display. It's a real-time viewfinder, meaning it offers a very, very fast refresh rate of about 60 frames per second. That's going to make it easier for me to track a moving subject and not have that lag that you traditionally have with older generation EVFs. There's also a built-in eye sensor that switches from the LCD to the EVF, so it makes it a lot easier for you to just capture the shot instantly using the EVF, especially in bright sunny days. And of course, the EVF sometimes help with the power by, of course, using less power on the battery itself. giving you a little bit more shots per charge. And you get about 350 shots per charge on this battery here alone. And of course, depending on how much videos you do, that can obviously vary on how much shots you can get. Now, in addition to that, the X-T20 offers a tilt LCD screen. It's now actually a touch panel tilt LCD. So again, you could use the tilt option to shoot down low, allowing you to get some very unique vantage points from the subject. Also, you can put the camera above you and take shots to give you, again, a unique advantage. Now, the touch panel allows you to change different settings. On the back of it, you have options like the touch shooting. So whatever you touch on the screen, it takes the picture, it sets the focus, and it takes the picture. It's quite responsive, in fact, and I really like this feature. If you ever use a smartphone and you tap the screen to take the picture and set the focus, that's exactly how this is operating. There's also a mode called the AF, and all it does is basically moves the AF point and sets the autofocus so that if your subject's in one position, you tap it, the focus is set, then you just push the shutter button to take the picture. The last touch option mode is basically what's called the area, and the area allows you to move the focus points in different areas of the screen, but it actually doesn't change the focus at all. So you still have to half press on the shutter to obtain the focus, and then take the picture, but it makes it easy to quickly move the focus points. Now, in the playback mode, this is what I like about the touch panel, is that it operates just like your smartphone, where you can swipe between pictures, you can pinch to zoom in, and you can, of course, pan the image really, really quickly, and allows you to check focus and your shots. So I kind of like that feature for the touch panel as well. So the great thing about Fuji X-series cameras, of course, is that all the great dials and controls are at your fingertips. You have things like shutter speed dials on the top, aperture on some of the lenses, as well as access to things like the exposure compensation dial. To change the different shooting modes, it's pretty simple. When the shutter speed dial is on A and the aperture on the lens is set on A, it's basically in what's called program automatic mode. The camera does all the exposure for you, and really it gives you some parameters like the ability to adjust things like white balance and ISO manually, or you can also set the white balance automatically as well. On the top of the dial, of course, when you change either the shutter speed or the aperture off of A, then you're either choosing to be in either shutter priority or aperture priority, depending on what dial has been set to A. And then if you obviously take both of the dials off of A, so the aperture and shutter speeds, then you have the ability to shoot basically in full manual controls. Also, the exposure compensation dial is great on Fujifilm cameras because it really gives you a quick access to really overcompensating or undercompensating the scene. So if you notice that the camera is looking at the image thinking that the scene is maybe too bright on your screen, you can actually dial that down by rotating the comp dial, and it easily automatically adjusts either the aperture or shutter or ISO, depending on any of those PSAM modes that you have it set on. And it makes it a lot easier to shoot in manual with having a little bit of automatic flexibility. And that's really the great thing. But you know, if this sounds very complicated with the X-T20, of course, there's also an auto switch mode that flips it to what's called a scene recognition automatic mode. And it basically ignores your shutter speed and aperture settings on your camera and sets it completely automatic. It uses things like face detection with eye detection so that it can determine the proper focus if you take a picture potentially of a portrait or a subject. Also as well, it changes things like white balance automatically because it looks at the scene, and depending on, you know, what the scene is like, if you're shooting out in landscapes, it may close the aperture down a little bit so you can get a little bit more depth of field in the shot, and vice versa if you're taking a picture of a portrait. And that's really a simple automatic mode. Now inside the menu on the camera, you can go from the SR automatic mode to a more commonly known scene mode. So in the menu, you can go through the different scene modes, and from there you can choose things like portrait, landscape, sports, night, and some of the other common scene positions that are found on other Fujifilm cameras. There's also a great portrait enhancer feature that really softens the skin tone on the subject to kind of hide blemishes. It's a great setting if you want to really take picture of people, because again, it really makes it appealing, especially for shooting portraits. So that's really the simple modes that you can offer that can be controlled with the X-T20. So the camera offers 3 different autofocus modes. You got your single autofocus. That means that when you half press on the shutter button, it locks the focus. You fully depress, it takes the picture. On the front of the camera is where you can change the different focus modes. You got also a continuous autofocus setting, and that allows you for the camera to constantly adjust focusing. There's also a manual setting as well, so you can use the manual focus swing on the front of the lens on all the Fuji XF lenses. And it allows you, of course, to manually focus if there's certain situations where the camera's having a tough time trying to get focus. Maybe it's on a shiny object. So that's a great feature. There's also manual focus aids like focus peaking, and that it kind of highlights some of, in different colors, the highest level of contrast in the scene. There's also other assist modes built onto this camera, like other X series cameras that we do offer. So the X-T20 can be purchased with the 16 to 50 millimeter kit lens. It's a great little lens that gives you nice versatility if you want to have an all-in-one lens that you can go travel and go on vacation with. But the great thing about the X-T20 is that it is compatible with all Fujifilm's Fujinon XF lenses. In particular, these 3 lenses here, what I call dual lenses, the XF23, 35, and 50mm f2.0 lenses are incredible prime lenses because they're very compact in structure. They're very light, but the image quality is quite amazing, and it really allows you to step beyond the kit lens, offering things like the ability to do very shallow depth of field. And for the faster speed in terms of the aperture, it allows you to shoot in low light situations with faster shutter speeds, and it can prevent you from shooting at high ISOs. These 3 lenses really are a perfect fit for the X-T20. The lenses and the SP2 shared printer actually fit on my little compact bag here. And if you're traveling, this is really appreciative because you basically have everything you need to capture any type of situation, whether you're shooting street photography or just a day out at the beach, you're shooting some, candid portraits with family and friends, or you're shooting, some real portrait shots outdoors, in good lighting, and really gives you, again, that isolation from the subject, from the background. Really key points. And of course, with the shared printer with you as well, you can quickly print something for somebody and kind of give that to them on the spot, whether it's a nice birthday party that you're at. So these 3 things, and the X-T20 is really a great little compact camera that you should really look at, especially when you really want to travel light. If you're like me, you like to take the kids to the park, bring your camera and take some great photos of them having fun, but also, you don't want to forget about taking great videos. The X-T20 offers an amazing video function, offering things like 4K video at 29.97 frames per second. You do also have full HD video at faster frame rates if you want to do things like slow motion. In the camera's menu, of course, there's different parameters that you can adjust. You can set the autofocus points from being multi-area or just a single area. You can set the continuous autofocus to constantly adjust for the subject, but also you can manually set that. And the great thing about the touch panel on the camera is that in live filming, you can actually quickly move the autofocus points when you have the camera set to the continuous autofocus, and it really allows you to pull different focuses within the scene itself. I really like the fact that this camera does have touch because it really is a big benefit for the 4K video that's included with this camera. You do have 4K output to an SD card, but also through the HDMI out. So if you have a 4K external recorder, you can actually record better quality video out to that recorder, and it allows you to record longer without any issues of potentially overheating on the camera, which is of course very important when you want to shoot all day long shooting videos. In fact, the videos that we're filming today is actually shot with the X-T20 camera, so completely shot in 4K, and really if you look through this whole video, you can see how amazing the camera can operate. It's just, such a great feature. And I know some of the computers that you may have don't support it, but, playing it on a 4K TV, it's just so outstanding. Now, the X-T20 has built-in stereo microphones, but if you want better audio quality. There is a 2.5 millimeter connector on the side of this camera to use an external mic. In fact, this video we are using an external mic to kind of record the audio because it avoids some of the mechanisms that's on the lens itself when you zoom in, zoom out. And if you're, of course, using continuous autofocus, that's going to be heard within the actual internal mic. So having an external mic option is great for capturing incredible 4K video. Another great thing on this camera is that, if you want videos to be very simple, it actually works with the different film simulation modes. So if you access the Q menu, you can switch it from things like the standard, Provia film modes to something like Velvia, which brings a more punch to the color. APS-C, which is one of my favorite film simulation mode that's great for portraits, softens the skin tones, and makes really the blues stand out, and it really is magical. But also, if you're doing some documentaries, you can actually shoot in black and white modes like acros, and really having the ability to do what we call quick 4K videos without a lot of color grading and special editing software. It's just going to make it a lot easier for you to film these amazing shots of your kids, get them on the computer, and get them onto YouTube and share that with family and friends. So one of the features I like about the X-T20, of course, is that it does have an interval timer shooting, allowing you to shoot time-lapse and create time-lapse video with software on the computer afterwards. However, I like using the timer feature just to take pictures of myself, especially when I want the camera to take more than one shot, because the self-timer mode gives you a 5-second, 10-second option, but it only takes one single shot. So with this option here, I can set it up to take multiple shots and use the interval timer that way. So I'm going to set up an interval of maybe every 2 seconds, and I'm going to have it shoot 5 shots for me. And I'm going to have it start, in about 1 minute. So it's going to count down right there, and as you can see, I'm going to run to the scene, and it's going to take 5 shots for me. So the X-T20 is really a great all-around camera. It's portable, it's compact, it has the image quality as its big brother, the X-T2. Features like 4K video, touch panel controls. Really, this is going to be an amazing camera. In fact, it's already my favorite camera. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, I'll see you on the Fuji Guys. The X-T20 offers 4K video. In fact, this whole video was filmed. You saved the camera.